Hey everyone, it's Tara. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a recent reads video. It's basically going to be like a June wrap up because I just kind of worked out perfectly that the last 6 books I read is kind of just what I read the entire month of June. So that was not my intention. It wasn't like supposed to be a like June wrap up, but it is what it is. It just worked out that way. So I'm going to work from the beginning of June forward, if that makes sense. So like the last book I talk about will be the book that I've read most recently. So first up is a book that I've actually lent to my mother-in-law, and that is Big Summer by Jennifer Weiner. I buddy read that with Chloe at Always Booked, and I gave it 3.5 stars. It wasn't like my favorite book ever. It was fine. I can't really talk a lot about like my thoughts on it because a lot of my thoughts on it, like there is something that happens about halfway through the book that I didn't know about, and I'm glad I didn't know about it because I wasn't expecting it. But I don't want to say much about it because like a lot of my thoughts about the book kind of center on that kind of like twist. So yeah. I don't even remember who, like I don't have, like my notes are like non-existent. And I don't remember the main character's name. She is like a, like Instagram influencer. She's plus sized, and she like randomly gets like kind of, I want to say like ambushed, if you will, by one of her like old like friends from school, like high school, who is like begging her to be in her wedding, begging her, the main character, to be in the friend's wedding. Yeah, this is gonna be very confusing when I don't remember names. And it was like kind of like weird because they haven't talked in like a really long time. And so that's kind of like how the story starts off, and then you just kind of go from there, and it is not what I was expecting. It was good. 3.5 stars. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't my like favorite thing I've ever read either. Then I did another buddy read. I buddy read this chunker, A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab with Amanda. This I also gave 3.5 stars. This is book 3 in the Shades of Magic trilogy, and it was a little bit of a disappointment. It was my least favorite of the 3. I don't want to say too much about the plot of this because it is like the last book in a trilogy. But it kind of, does it pick up exactly where? Yes, because book 2 leaves off on a cliffhanger. This picks up like right where book 3, this picks up right where book 2 ends. And that was nice, like, and I mean like right where it ends. And yeah, I was a little bit disappointed because like this thing is huge. It is like 600 pages, over 600 pages, and it kind of like drags in the middle. Like the beginning was good, the end was good, but the middle, it was like, is all of this really necessary? I felt like it was just, it like dragged a little bit. Both Amanda and I ended up picking up the audio for this, just to kind of help us get through it. So it was not like a solid end to the series. Like overall, I really enjoyed the series. This wasn't like a horrible book by any means. It's my least favorite of the 3. So a little bit of a letdown, but still really good overall. Then I read Raspberry Danish Murder by Joanne Fluke. This is number 22 in the Hannah Swenson series. I buddy read this with Linda. I say buddy read. Linda and I are just kind of like casually kind of reading them around the same time so that we can talk about them. I just dropped a book. And yeah, okay, again, there are some, like, I mean, first of all, this is book 22 in a series, so, like, I can't say too much about that, but I really can't even say, like, that much about the, like, the murder in this one, because that is spoilers for stuff that happened, like, because this book kind of picks up almost immediately where, like, the book right before it ends, and it's spoilers. So I can't really say too much about the plot of this. I will say, like, it was kind of unique in that what happens, there's not two murders, but they have to investigate the murderer, like, as if, like, there's, like, basically it's like the person who died and the person, like, and they think that the person who died might have been an unintended victim, so they're investigating, like, okay, who wants to kill this person, and if he wasn't the intended, like, victim, but this other person was, they need to investigate, like, both murders, like the actual murder and the, like, potential murder. That sounds very vague, but I kind of have to be vague because of the fact that it's very spoilery. But then this kind of leaves off on another cliffhanger, which is, like, I'm kind of liking this because it does make you want to pick up the next one. But I think the next one is like a flashback story. Yeah. Have you ever wondered exactly why Hannah decided to open the cookie jar and what it was like for her at the very beginning? So that's the next book, is to, like, it's like a flashback. So I don't even know if, like, the next book picks up where this one ends. We'll find out. Oh, I gave this 4 stars. I don't think I said that. So then, what did I read next? Oh, I read The Duke and I by Julia Quinn, book 1 in the Bridgerton series. That was also the first book that I've ever read as an ebook, ever, because I got a Kindle recently. That was my first ebook. I gave that 4 stars. I really enjoyed the setting, like the characters, they're in England. I enjoy all of that. It does get, like, a little bit steamy at times, and there is, like, a kind of questionable scene that I don't know exactly how I feel about it. If you've read it, you probably know what I'm talking about, what scene I'm talking about. But overall, I enjoyed it. This book follows Daphne, who is, like, the 4th child, but the oldest girl in the Bridgerton family. And she's kind of like just the friend. She's like she doesn't have any, like, anybody, like, pursuing her romantically, even despite her mom, like, always being, almost, like, trying to, like, set her up and, like, get her in, like, these, like, eligible bachelors, like, eyes. And, like, Daphne's kind of, like, doesn't really, like, she seems to not really care. Like, she doesn't really seem to be, like, anxious to, like, be, like, just married off to, like, the first guy that, like, shows interest. Like, she wants to actually, like, marry for love. And then she ends up at some, like, party dance thing. She ends up meeting the Duke, Simon, who happens to be her oldest brother's, like, really good friend. And they kind of meet. They don't realize at first who each other, like, are. And then they kind of, like, figure out, oh, you're Simon, and oh, you're Daphne. And they decide to kind of have, like, a fake romance, which we all know always leads to a real romance. And it was good. It was, like, I enjoyed it. Yes, there's, like, a little bit, like, more sexy time than I normally like in my books. And yes, there was a kind of questionable scene, but overall I enjoyed it, and I will end up, like, continuing on in the series. Then we have, I read The Match by Sarah Adams. that was the Book Sisters Book Club pick for June. That was also an ebook, and I really, really enjoyed that one. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was really, really cute. I really, really enjoyed it. So this is a single dad romance, and you follow Evie, who trains service dogs. So she has epilepsy, so she has a service dog. That's kind of how she got into this business. When she got her service dog, she started working for the company, and she has a meeting to meet with this guy, Jake, and his daughter. And his daughter just recently got diagnosed with epilepsy herself, and they are looking at getting her a service dog. And they so they have this meeting, and Jake and Evie do not get along at first, but they end up having to spend more time together as Evie helps train the service dog, and Jake's daughter. Is his daughter Sophie? I don't know why Sam. I don't know why I said Sophie. I knew it started with an S. They end up having to spend more and more time together as Evie works with Sam and Daisy to get them where they need to be, so that Daisy, the service dog, can help Sam out. And so they spend all this time together, and it's really, really cute. I love that it doesn't I don't remember, unless I'm just really not remembering things. I don't remember it getting super steamy. I don't remember any sex scenes explicitly. And it was just a really cute story. I love the family dynamic that Jake has with his family. Evie's relationship with her family is interesting as well. It was just cute. I enjoyed it. Then we have The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. Book 2 in the Mistborn series. We finally listened, finished this. This one is almost 800 pages, 763 pages, and it was just taking John and me just a long time to get through, because before having Little Man, we would spend an hour to 2 hours every night listening to audiobooks while I would crochet or do some other crafty activity, and John would be assembling his miniatures or painting them. And we just haven't done that, set aside time every night to do that since having Little Man. So it was very finding time to actually listen to this audiobook was a little bit more challenging. And we started this I don't know, right around the time Little Man was a month old, maybe. It was sometime in March. So we've been listening to it for a long time. But that's not to say that I didn't enjoy it. I did. I gave it 4 stars. It was all just finding time to listen. So we did it a lot on car rides, going to John's mom's house, things like that. So enjoyable. I just, we just had a hard time finding time to read. I really enjoy both Mistborn and The Well of Ascension. This series is one of the first fantasy books and series that I read on my of my own volition. That wasn't Harry Potter. So it kind of holds a special place in my heart, and I really enjoy the story. So in this, it is a year. I don't remember exactly how long. I want to say it's a year after the events of the first book, but that I could be wrong. And you're following Vin and her the crew from book 1, and they're kind of running things in their town of Luthadel after the events of book 1, and things are kind of unsettled politically. You have them trying to kind of hold the town or the city together, but you have 3 different armies that are trying to kind of work their way in and kind of take over things. And so Vin and her crew are trying to like hold down the fort and take care of these like 3 armies that are trying to attack and take over. It's a very loose summary without giving away any spoilers for the first one. So John and I are taking a break before we go into book 3, which is that Hero of Ages? Yeah. Just because it took us so long to listen to this, I was like, I need a little bit of a break before we dive into the 3rd one. So maybe in a month or 2, we'll start that back up. And then the most recent book I have finished, which is kind of a lie because I finished a book last night, like at like 12:30 this morning, technically. So that will be the first book I talk about in my next recent reads video. But before that, the most recent book I finished is Caught Red-Handed. You literally cannot read this title anywhere on the book because my library covered up the title. But it's Caught Red-Handed by Ellie Alexander. This is book 4 in the Bake Shop Mystery series. I gave this 4 stars. I'm really loving this series. Sloane Krause is still my favorite of the 2 by Ellie Alexander, but Jules is a good main protagonist to follow. I enjoy it. I just enjoy Sloane Krause a little bit better. So in this book, you are following Jules and her gang. There is a death. Wait, who dies in this? Oh, right. Okay. Jules, like it's like winter, like July. It's winter, July. No, it's winter. It's like January in their town, and it's like an unusually mild winter, which I don't think is like important to the plot. It's just, it was like said a lot in here. And the town, like there was like a main strip in the town that like where like the Shakespeare theater, all like that stuff is in this town, and this like restaurant, like this chain restaurant is opening up, and the town isn't thrilled about it because it kind of like takes away from the like vibe that the town is going for, like the more like you know, Shakespeare type vibes of the town. And I almost said Leavenworth. That is not it. Leavenworth is from Sloane Krause. This is Ashland. Like the town, like the feel that Ashland wants, and this particular part of town is more like Shakespearean, and this like chain restaurant is coming in, and on first this chain restaurant like kind of bought out or forced out one of the like locals who was in this building. And so the town's like a little bit upset about that. And then like just the aesthetics of the restaurant are not what the town is going for. And so there's like this town council type meeting, and the town's trying to like incorporate stricter rules for the looks of all their buildings. And then the next morning, the owner of this new restaurant ends up dead, and they start researching. They start investigating, not researching. I mean, I guess it's technically the same thing, but so Jules ends up finding this person dead, and so she ends up kind of looking into the case. There is like a little bit of like a personal element because you have Jules' like estranged husbands around, which is fun to read about. And like my favorite thing about this was that, first of all, okay, this is going to go like in direct like contradiction to things I've said, but this one you get a little bit more, I want to say like racy or like steamy. Like they talk about like more physical things between Jules and her husband, not like explicitly by any means, but like you get a little bit more like, oh hey, we're married, and like we do married people things. Nothing explicit, nothing like that, but it's like more than I've ever read in like a cozy mystery before. Like I said, nothing steamy by any stretch of the imagination, but it was nice. Like, okay, she's married and she's attracted to her husband, you know. So they, you know, kiss, and there's some insinuations made about married people relations. And I like that. I like the way that this ends, because the way that like the whodunit is revealed is not a way that I think I've ever like read in another cozy. I won't say too much more than that, but typically I feel like the main like protagonist is directly involved with figuring out who did it, and I feel like that didn't happen as directly like as it normally does, and I liked that. So those are, well, these plus a couple others are the books that I have read recently. You said that's basically my June wrap up. But yeah, let me know, like, what have you guys been reading? I've been trying to like stay on top of BookTube, but it's not going too well. So let me know like down below if you have wrap ups, and if you have a wrap up and you have not seen me comment on your wrap up, leave me a comment down below and say, hey Tara, go watch my wrap up. What has been your like favorite book that you've read recently? Let me know. Let me know if you've read any of these, what your thoughts are, all that good stuff. Just talk to me down below. Anyways, that is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.